Ever wonder what happened to the Kung Fu legends who lit up your screen with spinning kicks, wild stunts, and that untouchable swagger? From Gordon Liu's quiet strength to Jackie Chan's chaotic genius, and even Dragon Lee, the Bruce Lee lookalike who became a star in his own right, these names defined an era. Some kept the fight going, others stepped out of the spotlight, and a few might surprise you with where they ended up. Let's catch up with the icons who made Kung Fu cinema unforgettable. Number 6. Sammo Hung. Sammo Hung didn't look like your typical Kung Fu star. He wasn't lean or chiseled like Bruce Lee, and he didn't need to be. When he hit the screen in The Magnificent Butcher, he flipped that whole stereotype on its head. He played Lam Sai Wing, a hot-headed student of the legendary Wong Fei Hung, and let's just say, despite his bulky frame, Sammo moves were packed with raw power. His fights were brutal, but had rhythm. And he wasn't just throwing punches. He was telling a story with every swing. He could make you laugh, then knock your breath out with a spinning back kick. That didn't happen by luck. He trained in Peking Opera at the China Drama Academy as a kid, the same place Jackie Chan went. We're talking 18-hour days of acrobatics, martial arts, and being yelled at by a master who made military drills look soft. That's where Sammo learned to be a performer, not just a fighter. Later, he became the big brother of the group called the Seven Little Fortunes, which also had Jackie Chan and Yuan Biao. So yeah, he was basically the Kung Fu class president. You've seen him trading blows with Bruce Lee in Enter the Dragon, pulling off insane stunts in Project A with Jackie, and breaking bones and expectations in Eastern Condors. He didn't just act, he directed, choreographed, produced. He did everything short of selling popcorn in the lobby. Today, Sammo's in his 70s, but he's still kicking around, just not as high as before. He celebrated his 73rd birthday in 2024 with his grandkids. And honestly, the man still carries that same line energy. He moves slower now, but when you look at him, you can tell he's still got 1,000 fight scenes locked in his memory. He was recently honored with a Lifetime Achievement Award in Hong Kong, and if anyone earned it by sweat, broken bones, and pure grit, it's him. And while Sammo built his legend with grit and force, the next icon began in a ballet studio, only to end up redefining action cinema. Number 5. Michelle Yeoh. Michelle Yeoh never needed to shout or flex to prove she was dangerous. She just walked into the scene with that quiet intensity, and suddenly you knew someone was about to get wrecked, with style. Back in the year 2000, when she played Yu Shu Lin in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, she wasn't just swinging a sword. She was floating through the air like a ghost with unfinished business. Every strike was graceful but deadly, like a ballerina trained in battlefield etiquette. And fun fact, she actually was a ballerina, trained in London. Then one day, Hong Kong Action Films knocked on her door, and instead of dancing, she started breaking ribs on camera. She didn't come from a martial arts background. She came from discipline, from years of stretching, balance, and precision. When she got cast in action films like Yes, Madam in the 80s, she didn't ask for stunt doubles. In fact, she trained and learned everything from scratch. Her stunt coordinators said she picked it up faster than people who'd been doing martial arts since childhood. And she never faked the danger. There's footage of her doing full-speed fight scenes, getting slammed into furniture, landing on concrete without paddings. She once fractured a vertebra in a stunt and kept going like it was just a paper cut. You'd think after all that, she'd settle into quiet retirement. Nope. In 2023, she became the first Asian woman to win Best Actress at the Oscars for Everything Everywhere All at Once. At an age where most actors are playing someone's wise grandma, Michelle was hopping through universes, doing kung fu in a laundromat and fighting IRS agents with googly eyes on her forehead. And she made it look easy. Today, she still walks like she's ready for a sword fight at any moment. She's been in Shang-Chi, The Witcher, Blood Origin, and is lined up for more Avatar movies. But long before multiverses in Marvel, one man brought Shaolin to the screen with nothing but a shaved head, steady fists, and absolute mastery. Number 4. Gordon Liu. Now, Liu literally became the face of Shaolin itself. You saw him with that shaved head, calm face, and that intense fire in his eyes. And you knew someone was about to learn a painful lesson in discipline. His most iconic role was in the 36th Chamber of Shaolin. He played San Te, a young rebel who gets absolutely wrecked by the Manchu, stumbles into a Shaolin temple, and slowly transforms into a disciplined, unstoppable fighter. That film wasn't just a hit, it was a blueprint for every martial arts underdog story that came after. It turned Gordon into a legend. And what made it real was that he actually trained in real-life kung fu before the cameras ever rolled. His background wasn't for show. Gordon trained in Hung Gar, one of the oldest and toughest Chinese martial arts, which focuses on powerful stances, iron arms, and total control. His movements were sharp and grounded, like every punch had purpose. After the 36th chamber, Gordon kept the hits coming. He became the go-to face for Shaolin films, Shaolin Challenges Ninja, 8-Diagram Pole Fighter, Return to the 36th Chamber, each one reinforcing his image as the calm, powerful warrior who lets his fists do the talking. Then decades later, Tarantino brought him back into the spotlight with Kill Bill. Gordon played not one but two roles: Johnny Mo, the leader of the Crazy 88, and the iconic Pai Mei, the white-bearded kung fu master who literally teaches you how to punch through wood with 1 inch of space. Even under layers of makeup, that intense presence came through. Pai Mei stole every scene, and that's all Gordon Liu. But life hit him hard. In 2011, he suffered a massive stroke that paralyzed the right side of his body and left him unable to speak properly. For a man who made a living through movement and strength, it was a brutal turn. But here's the thing. Gordon never gave up. He relearned how to walk. He practiced calligraphy with his left hand. He showed the same quiet grit and recovery that he once showed in Shaolin training scenes. These days, he's mostly out of the spotlight, but his legacy is carved deep into Kung Fu cinema. Every time someone watches a training montage or sees a monk throw hands in slow motion, there's a little bit of Gordon Liu in that scene. And then came the fighter who looked like Bruce Lee and wasn't afraid to use it. Number 3, Dragon Lee. Dragon Lee was like the mirror image that came out of Bruce Lee's shadow. After Bruce's sudden death, the Kung Fu film world went into full panic mode, trying to fill the void. Studios weren't subtle about it either. They straight up went hunting for lookalikes. And then came Dragon Lee, a South Korean martial artist with that same intense stare, same haircut, and lightning-fast punches. You'd squint at the screen thinking, wait, is that? Turns out it was Dragon Lee, holding his own and doing it with style. One of his most known roles was in The Real Bruce Lee, a bizarre mix of documentary, fan tribute, and pure cash grab. He showed off those sharp kicks, wide-eyed intensity, and of course the signature high-pitched Bruce Lee screams. Audiences weren't exactly sure what they were watching, but they were glued to it anyway. Then he followed it up with the Dragon's Snake Fist in the clones of Bruce Lee, where it was literally him and a few other Bruce Lee copies fighting crime, criminals, and at one point, each other. It was pure madness, but under all that chaos, Dragon Lee had real skills. He trained in Taekwondo and Hapkido, which gave him those sharp, snappy kicks and clean movement. And while the Bruceploitation era was filled with actors doing cheap imitations, Dragon actually delivered. He did his own stunts, fought hard, and gave every scene the same explosive energy Bruce had. Was it an imitation? Sure, but he put in the work, and it showed. As for today, Dragon Lee has kept a pretty low profile. He's not in the mainstream anymore, but he popped up in the 2023 documentary, Enter the Clones of Bruce, where he looked back at the madness of that era with a grin. He's older now, of course, and no longer wearing yellow jumpsuits or throwing nunchaku around, but fans still remember this legend. After the chaos of clones, one fighter stepped in with his own name, his own style, and nothing to prove. Number 2, Mark Dacascos. Mark Dacascos always felt like the guy who could knock you out and then apologize with perfect manners. His breakout moment came with Only the Strong in 1993, where he played Louis Stevens, a former soldier who teaches at-risk kids how to kick life in the teeth using capoeira. Not kung fu in the traditional sense, but the way he moved, it had that same explosive rhythm and power. You watch that movie and instantly wanted to learn how to fight and dance at the same time. What made it hit harder was that Mark wasn't just acting. He grew up in martial arts. His dad, Al Dacascos, created Woon Hop Kuen Do, a brutal fusion of kung fu, karate, and street smarts. Mark trained under him and became a fourth-degree black belt. So when you saw him flipping, striking, and blocking like a machine, it was the real deal. He didn't fake it, he lived it. Then came Crying Freeman in 1995, where he played a hitman who literally cried every time he killed someone. Sounds weird on paper, but Mark made it work. He brought a quiet intensity to the role, fighting with precision, emotion, and that cool and a calm stare. Years later, he flipped the script again in John Wick 3 as Zero, a fanboy assassin who admired John Wick a little too much. Even while trying to kill him, Mark made the character weirdly likable. The fights were fast, clean, and full of little nods to classic martial arts choreography. These days, Mark is still doing his thing. He's popped up in the Netflix reboot of Iron Chef, still rocking that theatrical intensity like every bite of food was life or death. In 2023, he joined the cast of Warrior, playing a high-ranking rebel named Kong Pak. And yep, he's still got that fighter stance. Tight, focused, ready to strike. Mark Dacascos never went full Hollywood. He stayed in his lane, doing the work, throwing the kicks, and making every role count. He's one of those rare martial arts stars who didn't just follow trends. He was the trend, and he still moves like the camera's always rolling. But if Mark was the calm technician, the next name turned every fight scene into a full-blown circus and made it iconic #1, Jackie Chan. He was the guy who turned getting punched in the face into an Olympic sport. While Bruce Lee brought the rage and fire, Jackie brought chaos, timing, and comedy. He could crash through a window, fall 3 stories, and land in a shopping cart, all while holding a chicken, and somehow make it look like a ballet routine gone wrong. One of his earliest big hits was Drunken Master in 1978, where he played Wong Fei Hung, a mischievous student who only fights well when he's tipsy. The film didn't just blow up in Asia, it redefined kung fu cinema. Jackie wasn't the stoic hero. He was the underdog, the goofball, the guy who ran from fights before he finished them, and then suddenly snapped into a human tornado when it counted. That style came from serious training. Jackie was enrolled in the China Drama Academy as a child, a brutal Peking opera school where he trained for hours daily in acrobatics, martial arts, and performing. He was part of the 7 Little Fortunes, alongside Sammo Hung and Yuen Biao. They learned pain tolerance, discipline, and how to flip off a balcony without flinching. Jackie later built his own stunt team, and every movie turned into a test of how many bones he could almost break without dying. Spoiler, he broke a lot of them. From Police Story to Project A, Armor of God to Rumble in the Bronx, Jackie crafted his own genre. Part action, part comedy, part, is he seriously okay after that? Even Hollywood came calling with Rush Hour and Shanghai Noon, where he brought kung fu to American audiences with his signature flair. He'd slide down buildings, hang off helicopters, and keep fighting with a ladder like it was a weapon forged by ancient monks. Now in his 70s, Jackie's slowed down a bit, not because he wants to, but because gravity finally caught up. He's still active though, working on films in China and mentoring young talent. He recently voiced Master Splinter in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem, which feels fitting considering he's basically been a kung fu rat dad to the whole world. He's also involved in charity, environmental causes, and has his own stunt museum. And yeah, he still trains. Jackie Chan isn't just a martial arts star. He's the reason so many kids tried to climb furniture pretending it was a wall in Shaolin Temple. He made kung fu fun, wild, and real. And he never looked back. These legends may have aged, slowed down, or taken new paths, but the impact they left behind still echoes in every fight scene we watch today. Their kicks, flips, and fearless moves weren't just for the screen. They shaped a generation of action cinema and inspired millions to believe that strength isn't just about power, it's about heart. If you enjoyed this journey through Kung Fu history, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more deep dives into the stars who defined entire genres, and let us know in the comments, which Kung Fu movie moment lives rent-free in your mind?